Flynn Racing headed down for a second round of the European Racing Classic Series in Taupo, with 2 cars entered this time. Kel Flynn was entered in the speedier 2.8 litre E36 in the alloy wheel class, and I was in the AES class in my 2.5 litre E36. Kel had to complete a bit of maintenance on his car prior to the event, but both cars looked prepped to have a good weekend. Kel qualified in 8th for the alloy wheels class for race 1. I qualified in P2 in the AES class, starting at the front of the grid. It decided to rain just prior to our race, so while qualifying was damp, race 1 was declared wet. Kel started off race 1 strong with some extremely quick cars in front of him. The MG of Todd Forsyth quickly showed its tremendous straight line speed, but it did seem to lack a bit in cornering ability. Peeking up slightly to the left, the yellow Fiat of Brett Hickman. Challenging Todd for track position through the infield, you see Sheridan Broadbent in her M3 E36. At this point, the pesky Fiat continues to fill Kel's rear inside view mirrors, making the yellow nose pop through on camera. Eventually, he's able to make the pass stick around the outside of turn 4. Looming to the left now is the Volvo of Des Ridgewell. You wouldn't think such a big boxy car would be quick, but Des pedals it well. Kel is able to tactfully use the slower cornering speed of Todd to keep Des behind. This was short-lived as both the MG and Volvo showed their straight line speed and scampered away. This was not entirely without incident, as Des exhibits some excellent car control, sliding the big Volvo around on corner exit, onto the grass but still able to stay ahead of Kel, showing the Volvo's tremendous power. The final complex of corners at Taupo can be tricky in the wet, but Kel handles it well, with only a small amount of wheel spin at corner exit. Not to be outdone by Des for style points, Kel slides the BMW out of turn 1, another tricky corner in the wet. I was extremely excited to be starting on the front row of the grid for the first time ever. So excited I immediately grabbed reverse instead of first. I lined up next to Paul Jennings in the rapid yellow Alpha Sud TI. Given the track was wet, I needed to be careful on the throttle to get a smooth launch. Naturally, I did the complete opposite. One day I'll learn to chill, but today is not that day. Paul in the yellow Alpha, who had not made a complete hodgepodge of his race start, quickly created space between himself and I. I did my best to modulate the throttle and keep the BMW moving forward, but I seem to have left 90% of my chill back in the pits and continued to drive the car like it was dry. The no-chill driving style would soon lead to a nearing moment at turn 8, a corner I never really thought of as a corner until this moment. I would like to be able to say I learned my lesson from this, but I did not. did not have grip on the wet, lending itself to some oh gosh moments. ABS would have been useful in these conditions, or traction control perhaps. I continued to chase down the Alpha of Pools in vain hope that I might be able to catch up in the wet. The BMW being a handful to drive did not make this task easy. An error in choice of gear led to some more exciting driving. That was followed immediately by me overshooting my braking point. It's easy to link these together looking back at video, in the moment not so much. A lock-up allowed Mark Renton to easily scoot past in his red Fiat. Back to Kel in the Arrows class, making moves through the grid and passing the Alpha of Robert Hunkin. Kel showing greater self-control with the throttle, feeling his BMW with speed. Of the back straight, he catches the Alpha of Bruce Belcher, making the pass down the front straight. Kel then highlights how slippery the exit of turn 1 is in the wet and shows off his car control skills. Making more moves, Kel passes Cheyenne Rankin in her BMW E36. He then exhibits further car control skills at the end of the sweeper. The track starts to dry out as the race progresses. It is still slippery in spots as Kel slides through turn 5. We don't call it drifting in circuit racing because that would be frowned upon. Instead, I'll say the track lacked grip. Kel wraps up his race in 8th position, finishing just behind Wendy Metcalf in her little Alpha. I had what I'd describe as a frustrating race, with the BMW more interested in going sideways than forward. I managed to keep the car on track and finish in 3rd. As an indication of how tail happy the car was in this race, check out turn 1 exit post-race. Kel finished race 1 in his qualifying position, where I managed to only drop 1 spot from where I started. Closer inspection of my car revealed a creative wheel alignment, which explained how difficult the car was to drive in the wet. Both rear wheels were toe right, making left turns an alarming experience. Kel and Brendan began work correcting this for race 2, hoping this would make my driving experience more enjoyable. Drifting is fun, but not fast. Race 2 was a reverse grid roll-up handicap, meaning the fastest cars started from the back and each group of cars being released on staggered flag drops. I started from 13th on the grid next to Mark Ranton. The track had dried out for this race and I was determined that he would not beat me again. Once again, the no-chill launch method was implemented, but this time the car hooked up and went. The race was starting to look like it might be going in my favour. yellow flag for Robert Hunkin falling off the end of turn 4 forced the field to slow. That's when disaster struck. Any human with ears could hear that something was extremely wrong, so I backed right off and limped the car back to the pits. Kel started off the back of the grid with the other Arrow Wheels cars, alongside Todd Forsyth in the MG, and just behind me, who you can see at the top left of your screen. Rolling up the grid as each flag drop group pulls away, Kel launches the car well and gets off to a flying start. The MG once again exhibits its absurd speed, pulling away from the E36 at a blistering pace, but Kel soon catches it into turn 1. Kel tails the MG through the infield, showing his skill in the BMW's cornering ability. My sudden slowing led to confusion among the other drivers, thinking there was a flag they hadn't seen. This allowed the Arrow Wheels cars to catch up, having started behind and past the slowly moving AES cars. The MG continued to be elusive, as its straight line speed was far beyond that of Kel's BMW. E36 of Sheridan Broadbent showed its pace, catching Kel on the back straight as the pack made its way past me, limping my BMW back to the pits. I did my best to stay out of their way. It was a buzz to see my husband on track at the same time, even if my car was broken. The giant Volvo of Des made another appearance alongside Kel, making the pass with no trouble and showing how willing Des was to push the old car hard on track. A battle pack then formed, with the MG of Todd seeming to hold up the faster cars, allowing Kel to stick with them. M3 and Volvo needed to get past the MG, but it was becoming an effective rolling roadblock. Des stuck the nose of the Volvo up the inside into turn 9, seemingly surprising Todd and the MG, who backed well off to the left, allowing Kel to catch up and blocking Sheridan in the process. As you would expect, the M3 and MG zoomed away on the straight. Not to be counted out, Kel used all of his driving skills to pass the MG through the infield where he was quicker, building a large enough gap to outrun it on the straight. Unfortunately, this commitment exceeded the grip of the tyres at turn 9. Round 2 of trying to beat the MG saw Kel once again trying to use his cornering speed to his advantage. A dive into turn 1 and full send through turn 2, 3 and 4 saw him finish the job. The MG was finally defeated. Through turn 9 almost becomes obligatory at this point to illustrate the level of commitment to full send by Kel. Bruce Belcher making an appearance yet again, and Kel passing him with no effort. Racing Ray Williams shoots past as he makes his way through the field in his rapid piranha. Kel continues to push hard, passing Chris Brown in the Alpha, setting him up with a poor line into 4. Full send does have its consequences. This time it was a sad ending for the clutch and Kel's BMW. He dipped out of the race, making that for 2 DNFs for Flynn Racing in race 2. A disappointing end to the weekend, but it was great to be able to race together as a team. Massive thank you to Brendan and Mark for all your help, and to our sponsor Paul Gas. The damage to my car ended up being the rear subframe trying to remove itself from the chassis. There's a considerable amount of welding to repair that. The team has a lot of repairs to complete before another race meeting. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.